Alright, so to start off here, you have the interphase. And the interphase is the period between the actual cell divisions that helps prep the cell for being divided and making sure that it's all good. So to start off, you have the gap 1 phase, or G1. And in G1, the cell actually grows. So as you can see here, the cell is beginning to get larger. And after this, it can go a few different ways. Usually it goes to the G1 or S checkpoint, which at this point it checks to see if the cell is growing enough for it to be able to divide. It can also go to the G0 point, where it's at where its regulatory signals are not allowing it to be able to go any further. It's at a stable state. It's not dividing. It's just kind of hanging out. So if it clears the G1 or S state, or the S checkpoint, it then goes into the S phase, which is the synthesis phase. And in this phase, you start to see the DNA replicate. And at this point, the DNA is not binding together, so it's kind of just a strand throughout here in the nucleus. And then after that, it will move to the G2 phase, which at this point, this is where the cell actually helps prepare it for mitosis. There are some biochemical reactions that happen inside of there, and basically just preparing it to be divided. So after the G2 phase, you have the G2M checkpoint, which this is the final checkpoint that will see if the cell will actually be able to divide. So then after that checkpoint, if it passes, it'll move on to the M phase, which is mitosis and cytokinesis. So then this will also is where you'll start to see the symbol or the spindle assembly checkpoint. And this is just to make sure that you have your centrosomes inside of the cell for growing. So after interphase, you move on to mitosis. And in mitosis, your first phase is prophase. And in prophase, you actually see these chromosomes are going to start to condense, or as I wrap these here, or try to. They start to condense, and what happens is they start to actually wrap around histones. So the DNA can actually be wrapped and can be found inside of the nucleus. You're starting to see the meiotic spindle forming. So as this happens here, I'll kind of throw these on here just as like a kind of like a rough sketch. Kind of have your spindle fibers here coming off of your centrosomes. So then after that, you begin to move to